I'm so sorry I lost you guys. But I was going to tell you this will probably be part 3 because the other part was part 2. But welcome back. I am actually capable of doing things that it took me forever to recognize. And when I was teaching my grandchildren, my older grandchildren who experienced these happenings, um, and I was explaining to them what they were and how not to point at somebody in anger to try to control that entity, that warrior that's in them, they understood it. They absolutely understood it. And then I said to them, "You're going to know who you are by the energy that you carry." I was sitting in the bathroom one day and I'm brushing my teeth and I had the cabinet open and something or somehow something fell out of the cabinet. And as I'm brushing my teeth, not even looking, I put my hand out. And as it fell into, like if somebody had literally put it in my hand and I caught it without even looking at it. As I'm explaining this to my grandkids, one of them said, "Oh my God, Emma, are you kidding?" I says, "No." She says, "That's happened to me." And here comes the other one talking about, "You too? That's happened to me." And I said, "That's because you two are chosen." There's gifts we hold that during the time that we are growing in our spirituality, we're growing in our energy, we're growing to be who we are. We don't know exactly what gifts we hold until we experience them. There was another one that's in also in my book. And it was my grandchildren had come to get a cleansing. They wanted their spirit cleansed and protection over them. So I cleansed them and I put protection over them. And I bid them farewell because they were going out that night. During that time, one of them, who was in the service, was in her dad's car and was heading towards my daughter's house and didn't know that the other three were coming out to go get gas or something or another. I don't remember what they exactly said that they were doing, but the ones that were in the third car was passing by the one that was in the second car, and the one in the second car stopped to turn around, and the guy that was behind her either went to pass her or hit her, and she hit the first car. I don't know what had happened exactly, but I know that the car got hit. They both got hit. And the one with the three in it was spinning. Now, I'm at home. I'm sleeping. I'm at home. In my dream, I'm walking up to this. I want to say it was a school, but it looked like it had a lot of windows. And I meet up with my two grandsons. And in the dream, I said to my two grandsons, "Come with me because you're in danger." One grandson says, "I am coming with you, Emma, because I'm scared." The other one is walking behind me and flies in front of me and says, "Emma, they're coming." As they come and stand behind me, one of them sits down in a chair, and I could look, when I looked at him, I could see this building through a window that's behind him, and I could see that it looks like a school. As I hear my older grandson say, "Emma, they're here." When I look, it was two individuals that looked like zombies. Their skin was rolling off their faces. They were walking all funny. Their eyes were beaded out of their heads. And I said, don't worry, I got this. And I swung. When I swung, I literally took off the head of one, and he vanished. And the other one I snatched up by his head and swung again and took off that head, and he vanished. And my grandson that was sitting down said, thank you, Amma. But as he's sitting down, I see everything turning, and I said, Alex, to the older one, I said, touch me. And I grabbed the one that was sitting down as this is turning, like it's turning like a whirlwind. And I said, touch me. And we touched fists, and it stopped. Everything stopped. And I look up, and my older grandson says, oh my God, Emma, thank you. When I wake up, I'm sitting upright at the edge of my bed. When I looked behind, my husband's eyes wanted to bulge out of his head. He said, what in the hell was that? And I said, what do you mean? He said, it was like the wind was in this room, and I thought I was dreaming until I woke up. And I said, you're kidding. He said, look where you're sitting. There was wind blowing through your hair. And I'm like, no, there wasn't. What are you talking about? When I looked down at my phone, now this is a real life. When I looked down at my phone, my grandkids had been calling me through the whole night. I grabbed the phone and I called them back and I said, what's the matter? Are you guys all right? My granddaughter's screaming to the top of her lungs, oh my God, Emma, oh my God, we got in a car accident. The car is totaled. The car was spinning in the middle of the road. And we heard your voice say, I got y'all, don't worry. And the car stopped. The other one, now Alex wasn't in this car, but Alex looks like my granddaughter who was in the other car. So that explains why I was dreaming about Alex and not her, because she resembles him. And I said, and what about Gab? And she said, she's fine. We're all okay. Emma, you saved us. I was like, holy crap. Now that's what I call astro projection. That's when in your dreams, you travel to where you're supposed to go. And I traveled twice like that. And I fought demons twice like that. I guess God knows I can't fight him in real life like that because I would freak out. But he knows I'm a warrior in spirit. So he uses me in spirit. There was another situation. I'm trying to see because it might be a friend of mine. Oh, it's my neighbor. There was another situation where I have visions. And they're like a movie in front of me. They run right in front of me. And there are several of you that do that. And you don't understand it because it stops you. And actually, if somebody was to be standing in front of you, they would think that you froze when all you're doing is having a vision. Now, it was my birthday. It was about 3 years ago. My husband was still with me. And he was texting on his phone. And I heard my spirit say, he's texting her. And he went to get up from the bed that he was sitting in. And he went to go downstairs. And I said, you don't have to go the hell downstairs. You could text her in front of me. I don't give a damn. He says, what the hell are you talking about? Here you go. And I says, yeah, you think I'm some idiot. Ain't nobody stupid, mother effer. But that's okay. You'll understand. So he had a habit of sitting behind my island, and he sat behind the island, and I could hear him laughing. As I'm hearing him laughing because he's texting this female, I went to sit down on the bed because my heart was breaking. He had broken my heart so many times, I can't even tell you, with the things that he had done. And I knew this. My spirit would tell me everything he was doing. I wasn't naive to it. If anything, I expected it because he was showing signs and red flags were all over the place. As I went to sit down, I'm gone now. I am in an airplane, sitting in the front seat. The airplane is completely empty. And I'm looking around, and I got to the point where I can control my visions, where I could speak to spirit, and spirit will let me know exactly why I'm going through the vision that I'm going through. And I look around and I said, why am I here, spirit? Why am I in this plane? And what's going on? All of a sudden, now I'm back. And I hear, she's here. She arrived. I knew exactly what it was. It was my daughter, because it was my birthday. And it was my daughter that had arrived. And the plane was empty because she was already here. I get teary-eyed. I'm sorry. And I kind of like went freaky. And I start running downstairs and I said, she's here, she's here, she's here. And he said, who? And I said, Leslie, she came from Florida, she's here. And he said, what, you got a text? And I said, no, I had a vision. She's here. And he says, yeah, right. And he starts laughing at me. He says, you're as crazy as they come. I said, and you're a stupid ass because you don't see who I am. But you will. Only thing is, it'll be too late when you do. Now, that day was my birthday, which is on Valentine's Day. And my girlfriend was about to pull up. I was already dressed, and she was about to pull up because she was going to take me to Cherry Hill to open up a bank account in Navy Federal, because all my friends were telling me the same thing. Get a bank account, open it up, and start saving. He's about to do some trifling stuff, and you need to be prepared because he's going to leave you screwed. Now, I had gotten this man a good job doing traffic control, and he was making $17.50 an hour. And he was taking his check and never coming home with the check. He was backed on bills. He was backed on the rent. He was trifling with it. That day, I take off with my girlfriend. Look, I take off with my girlfriend. And as I'm leaving to get on the expressway with my girlfriend on the Black Horse Pike to go into Turnersville, he calls me up. He says, where are you at? I said, why? I want to know where you're at. I said, why? That's none of your business. Don't worry about where I'm at. Worry about the hoe you were talking to this morning. He says, whatever. And he leaves the phone open. As we're going to the bank, I open up a bank account. As we're coming back, my phone is ringing. He had recorded, he butt dialed and recorded his conversation with this girl, giving her a Valentine's gift. In the meantime, not only do I have him on voicemail doing this trifling stuff, he's in Walmart buying her a gift. She's outside waiting for him, and one of my friends see them. She goes outside to think that I'm outside, and he just bought her or bought me a gift. When she goes outside, he's kissing on some other girl. And she texts me and says, girl, you ain't gonna believe this, and sends me a picture of him and her. When I pull up in my driveway, I'm thinking, I see all these heads inside, and I'm thinking, I caught him. I'm going to beat the living crap out of both of them because I'm a martial artist. I've been fighting since I was 10 years old, and I'm no joke. I don't pretend to be. But you crossed me the wrong way, and you're going to wish to God you never did. So now I'm running inside thinking I'm going to catch this chicken head in my house, and I'm about to rip somebody a new butthole. And when I open up the door, it's my daughter, Leslie, and my other twin, Lydia. And I'm like, oh my God. And I start crying, and they start hugging and kissing me. She's laughing. And I looked at him, and his face, he looked like he was in shock. And I said, I told you so. Not only did I tell you she was coming, I told you I was going to catch you, you trifling butt. And he said, what are you talking about? So I took the picture that I had gotten sent, and I put it in front of his face. And he said, that's not me. Look, that's not me. That's not me. When my kids left, because I'm not the type to try to bring it up into front of my children, I don't want them involved. I don't want them feeling a certain type of way, because they would rip his butthole. Turned around and I said, what's this? And I played the voicemail that I had. And he said, you're crazy. You're crazy. I said, no, I'm not. And you're done. Because now I'm filing for divorce. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. And he started laughing. He thought it was funny. After that, he had done several things. And my spirit still guided me through it all. Still showing me what was reality and what was not. So I had to end that. But those are just part of your gifts. Part of your gifts. And unless you can be completely in your own energy, unless you can completely accept who you are as spiritual, in your spirituality, you will go crazy. You will lose your freaking mind, because it's a lot. And at times you just can't believe it. You're like, oh my God, is this really happening? Is this real? What in the world? And it is. It is real. I've learned not only to accept my spirituality and my gifts, but to embrace them. Because they're a gift that only you can accept. There's something that you can't deny and run from. Trust me. I've tried. I ran from my gifts, or part of them, because I didn't even have all of my gifts at that point, at 32 years old. I ran from my gifts for a long time, until God stopped me. He sent me an angel, and he stopped me. He woke me up. This might be a message to the collective to wake you up. These stories might be my truth to make you realize your truth. I don't know if you can understand it at this point, but I guarantee there's been so many different aspects of your gift that have happened to you. So many awakenings that have come to light that you can't acknowledge them until now. My truth is bringing a light to your truth, is giving you the acknowledgement that there's nothing wrong with you. You're just a chosen one. You're a person and an individual that no one else can be. God's giving you gifts that no one else can deal with. What do you think? That the people back in the day, they were put into institutions because they were crazy? A lot of those people weren't crazy. They were gifted. They were spiritual. And they didn't know how to acknowledge their gifts because back in those days, it was taboo to even say that you had a special gift, that you had a special way of being, that your energy was acknowledged. It wasn't. They would put you away because they claimed you to be crazy. I also have a gift, and I believe that several of you have this gift as well. I have a gift that I can speak to entities. I have a gift of empathy as well. I have many gifts. That's why I'm high priestess, because I have many gifts. But in speaking with entities, I can acknowledge the reality of them and realistically know that this is occurring, that it's not in my mind, that it's not a dream, that it's not something that's not fact, it's not fiction, it's completely fact. I'll give you an example. My mother, God rest her soul, was in a rehabilitation center. The week of her transition, and because my evil sister never acknowledged the fact that I had every right to be where she was at, didn't tell me that she was transitioning. And so she was in hospice. And one night, now I'm living here by myself, and this is a fairly large home. And I went to go to sleep and couldn't sleep. So I went on my phone and I ran on YouTube and I ran into a spiritualist. And she was doing a reading. And a lot of yous can do this. Like right now, you're looking at this video because it's messages that the divine is sending you. And through this divine message that I'm giving you as a spiritualist, he's opening up your third eye. He's giving you an awareness of what my truth is, but it's happening to you. It's opening up what you're experiencing and opening up an acknowledgement to what you have gone through. Now, I'm laying there and the spiritualist says to me, your ancestors are trying to talk to you. They're trying to give you a message. And there's a grandmother coming through. As she says that, I'm lying there in my bed. I can see the TV on and I can see the light in my room coming in from the window because I leave my window on to bring in light from the street. And as she says, your ancestors are coming through and your grandmother is trying to give you a message. As she says that, my grandmother appears. In full form, I could see her walking up to the side of my bed, and directly behind her is my aunt who passed away several years prior to this occurring. And she looks over and she smiles at me. I was my aunt's favorite. I was actually her firstborn niece. As I look over on the corner in the dark, my dad is sitting at the little corner that I have, a little seating area in that area. And he's in the dark and he's with his head down like this, but he's looking at me. And he's got this facial expression of sadness, of grief. And I look up and she says, don't be afraid. I'm here to give you a message. And I says, I'm not afraid, Grandmom. What's the message? And she says, we've seen everything they've done to you since you were a child. We've seen the betrayal. We've seen the mistreatment. We've seen the tears. We've seen your pain. And now we're about to come down on them like fire. At that particular moment, my aunt looks over and says, they're going to pay for everything. You need not say nothing. You need not do nothing. It's our turn now. My grandmother looks up and says, I'm here to take my daughter. She will be gone in 3 days. And I said, but why? And she said, because they're hiding her from you. They have not told you where she's at. And then she put her hand on my head. And as she put her hand on my head, my tears I just started crying. I couldn't hold them. I felt the sadness. I felt the anger. I felt the grief. As I looked over and saw my father sitting there, he looked up at me and he says, I'm so sorry, baby. And I said, I forgive you, Daddy. It's okay. He says, I'm sorry for what they're doing to you too. I didn't know. He says, I didn't understand. And I'm really, really sorry you had to go through that. And I said, it's okay, Daddy. I forgive you. When I said that, my father stood up and he went to the edge of the bed and he put his hands on my feet. And then he disappeared. As I looked up, my grandmother said, close your eyes and we'll be gone. But we really never leave you. Now, they're going to have to pay for everything they've done. And they've done so much you know nothing of. Never let them see you cry. And I said, okay. And they said, I love you, both of them, and they disappeared. The next day I get up and I tell my daughter the dream. But I know it wasn't a dream. At that point, I thought it was a dream until I told her what I experienced. And my daughter says, Mom, that was a vision. And I said, I believe that. And she says, Mom, call the rehabilitation center. Something's not right. Something's not right. Call the rehabilitation center. As I call the rehabilitation center, these people trying to hide the fact that my mother had been taken almost a whole week to hospice because my sister wouldn't allow me to find out the truth. She kept everything from me. I didn't even know my mom was that sick. I call and I said, where's Rosa? They went and took me from wing to wing to wing, transferring me every single time, and every wing would transfer me to the next until I busted out like in anger and said, where the hell is my mother? And I heard them say, tell her. And she said to me, the girl said to me, I'm so sorry, Lydia. Your mother has been in hospice for about a week. I said, so why wasn't I called and why wasn't I informed? And they said, we couldn't do anything about it. Your sister specifically did not want you to know. Like, why would you do that? That's why I feel a certain type of way. That's why I don't believe in anything she said. And it went on. This wasn't just what they did to me prior to my mom passing. She kept me away from my mother just so I wouldn't be there in her transition. But God had sent me to my mom, and there's videos out there, and I know you guys see them. And he sent me to my mother before she died. And he showed me that she was very bad off, and he prepared me in so many ways. It's okay, baby. my dog. I I've been through it with my mother's death, and I've been through it with family members that have turned their backs on me. Stop. He's excited. With family members that have turned their backs on me and betrayed me. All for greed. For money that is rightfully mine. That's why I'm doing this video, to speak my truth. Because there's been a lot that's been going on. And it's been betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. There's been so much that has been done and said that if I'm here to sit here and tell you everything that's occurred since my mother's death, you'll be flabbergasted. But I am here to tell you that don't be flabbergasted. Because this month, with the moon, the red moon, the red full moon, the sugar moon, the worm moon, the energy's turning. It's bringing justice. It's bringing awareness to the chosen ones. It's bringing those that have betrayed you, those that have made a mockery of you, have lied on you, have told people things that you are not, have made you look crazy, unstable, made you look like you were nothing but a liar when all you ever brung was truth, made you look like there was nothing to anything you said. It's time. It's time for justice to come through. I don't know exactly who this is touching. I got a comment the other day with the other videos that I've done from a chosen one, and thank you. Thank you to my fans. Thank you to you who understand what I'm trying to tell you, the messages that I'm trying to give you, because now it's my truth that is supposed to be spoken, because it's your truth that's supposed to be coming out, so you could recognize and you could realize what they've done to you is unjustly. And justice is coming. Justice is coming, my friends. No more concern. No more worry. It's all coming to the light. I know my justice is on its way. It's right around the corner. All that crap that those that are supposed to love me have done in secret. All the witchcraft. All the voodoo. Monitoring spirits. All the betrayal. You all have to pay. You all have to pay for what you've done. And I have nothing to do with that. The divine is the one that's going to give you the rightfully so dude and give me justice. As he's going to give you justice, my friends. Speak your truth. Tell whatever you have to tell. Let it out, as I have. Because when the time comes and people see this video or people hear what my story is, parts of it, I haven't even begun to tell you half of it, they're going to realize that you are chosen. That you are beyond anything that anyone can acknowledge. That you are who you say you are. The light that you are. The starseed that you are. The healer, the shaman. The chosen one. The high priestess. The high priests. And you shine and you rise. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Because you will always be who you are. And justice will always be served. Now sit there and watch these fools, these idiots, get what they rightfully so get. Don't worry about what's yours, what they've stolen, what they've taken, what they've claimed. It's done. You will get back what you've lost 100 times fold. What they've spoken about you, the lies, the deceit, who they've sent after you to try to belittle you or try to manipulate you, the narcissists that they've sent at you to try to claim something that doesn't belong to them. Those that had sent to you to unalive you. No concerns. You're protected. You're highly protected by the divine and your guides and your spirits and your ancestors. And your ancestors are going to come down on them in a form that you don't understand. And the divine will bring it to your table. He will bring it to you. And they'll have to eat what you serve. And what you're serving is justice. Pray, meditate, ground yourself, manifest, and you'll watch and see how everything you thought wasn't capable of being done is going to be done. There's one more thing I have to say, and I don't know who it is for. I have no inclination of who this is for. But I see police, and I see the justice that you have no inclination of, that you have no idea they've done to you. I see them being arrested for it. And I see police coming up your sidewalk to tell you the truth, to tell you what they have done. Acknowledge it. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be so shocked, you're not even going to be able to answer, little less acknowledge it at the time. But the police are going to tell you exactly what they've done. It has to do something with your name. You're protected. Don't worry about it. It's justice coming to you and letting you know that you are protected. Be who you are, my friends. Acknowledge who you are. You have amazing gifts. I love my gifts. I wouldn't want to be anybody else who I am. It's just who I want to be. I have a lot to do in this world. I know I'm waiting for my king to show up because he's going to do it with me. That goes for one of yous too. One in particular, and you know who you are. Your king or your queen is coming. They're going to join you. There are 144,000 of us. That's not a lot in this world, but that's enough. We're coming together. We're doing amazing things. We're using our gifts to do these amazing things. Acknowledge who you are. Practice who you are. Learn who you are. Because you're amazing. And God doesn't create mistakes. You're a chosen one. You're amazing. And you're rightfully so. And your gifts are beautiful. Embrace them. Be proud of who you are. Love who you are. And learn who you are. Learn it to the fullest. In the meantime, my friends, may the universe give you what you desire. And may the divine bless you with all your wants and needs. Until then, blessings. Goodbye.